welcome to what I think will be a very interesting session. We have a very diverse panel. I'm going to give a quick introduction. Introduction to the panelists will happen. I'll just finish speaking and then I'm going to have each of the panelists introduce themselves and their brands. Quick introduction to the session. The topics of discussion, a little bit about my company, Tasanaya Hospitality, and of course we will end with hopefully 10 plus 15 minutes for Q&A, questions, answers. So keep your questions to the end. Okay, so you got Shikha Nath, Brand Director, Corporate Chimney, Uday Mathur, co-founder T-Trails. T-Trails, some new brands. So T-Trails is only set up, I think, 3 years ago. Jason and Brian from Green Beans Coffee, which had an interesting start in US armed force bases in exotic locations like Afghanistan and other places, but they have a separate brand which is growing, a coffee brand. Rafi is unfortunately unwell and I think not going to be able to join us. Sam Chopra, chairman of CybizCorp, helps various restaurant brands franchise and has also got the franchise for Carl's Jr. And Karan, who runs an interesting kind of Indian QSR brand called Kuchi King. What are some successful franchises in India? There are various models which have worked. Domino's, probably one of the leading kind of international QSR brands, worked on the simple one master franchisee for not only India but for the region. Same with McDonald's went originally with joint ventures, divided the country into two parts, converted one into a franchise. Subway is a very different model, individual franchises. Some people own one, people own up to 10, but it's really location based. And that's also, I think, working now to, reasonably successfully. Dunkin', same franchisor as franchisees Domino's. KFC and Pizza Hut have done a mix, and Taco Bell, which is also now making some inroads. They've got a mix of equity and franchise. So some markets, KFC is a mix of equity and franchise. Taco Bell also started off with equity and then franchise. Costa Coffee, again, one master franchisee, one company handling the franchise for all of India. Coffee Beans, similar. Baskin Robbins, model like Subway. So one kind of licensee for India who manufactures the ice cream. And then multiple franchisees in a few hundred cities. Red Mango is different. American frozen dessert, smaller 10, 12 outlets, but working with a single franchisee. And some Indian kind of brands. So Shiv Sagar, Sagar Ratna is expanded in franchise. They've got 80 plus outlets. Goli Vada Pav, another one. And Kuchi Kings. I'm talking about the brands which are not on stage really. But bunch of different models. All have different advantages, disadvantages, but largely they're working. Some interesting brands come in. Carl's Jr. Trying to do a little upmarket burger and trying to go it's QSR plus. Something called Delhi Clubhouse, and Shikha was just telling me that Bombay Brasserie, another brand of theirs, similar comfort food, affordable, people relate to kind of food they've grown up with. Fatty Bao and some others in the kind of Pan-Asian segment. Another interesting brand is Mama Goto. Beer Cafe, there's also Pint Room. And Jamie's, of course, is coming in with a couple of their formats, which should be interesting, just opened in fact. Franchising, it's a ideal business opportunity for startup entrepreneurs. If you've got passion for the industry, you want to enter, instead of trying to start something up on your own, franchising with a reputed brand is a great way to get going. You get to learn best practices from brands, you get to learn systems and processes from established brands, and it helps you really enter the industry. Strategic partnerships ensure that the brand grows. So, the franchisor will make sure that you grow. That's their responsibility. Brand recognition again. So, a good, large brand will contribute and will spend the required funds to market the brand, to create brand awareness if it's not already there. So that helps you from, kind of establishing a brand ground up. And it, of course, helps you expand. If you've got a model, you start working successfully, there's no reason you can't replicate it. And it helps you attract and kind of retain new customers. So that's another advantage. Basics, some basics for success. Effective business, kind of effective, strong systems. and ensure profitability. A franchisor has to ensure that a franchisee makes a good return, a reasonable return on investment, whatever was promised at the time of negotiations and the times of when you sign the agreement. Checks and controls, they should really be defined. The franchisor should define what they're going to check, what they expect from the franchisee. A franchisee should be compliant with different aspects. It has to be mutually beneficial and synergistic. I'm a true believer, having in my career franchise been responsible for franchising many brands, whether it was at Yum Restaurants or at Nirula's or at Mars. It has to work for both. It cannot be at all lopsided relationship or arrangement. Comprehensive and I think detailed franchisee agreements are essential. It's better to discuss and detail all this out before you sign up. Ask your questions. Don't do it in a euphoria. Don't do it in a hurry. And franchisees are a great source of new ideas. So successful franchisees, and there are multiple examples of this, especially in the US, which is the most advanced kind of franchise, I think franchising platform in the world, where franchising has been successfully practiced across many industries. Franchisees are a fantastic source of ideas, so if they've got good ideas, interact with them, engage with them, listen to them. So, like I said, you've got to maximize revenue and profitability, because the fees that franchisors earn are normally linked to a percentage of the revenue. So as long as the top line keeps growing, the franchisor is happy. Sometimes there's a incentive linked to certain targets in terms of profitability. So you've got to have comprehensive operational manual and processes. They've got to be comprehensive systems. How to make the product, how to serve the product, how to market the product. Everything should be defined. It's very important to do this. A strong team of people. Our business is about food. It's about the people who create the experience, and it's about the ambience and a kind of overall value for money. Those are the key tenets of the business. So, good quality managers and people. And again, the franchisor's role in helping the franchisee find the right quality people. Strong supply chain, especially if you're a franchisor setting up across different parts and you're a franchisee, you should be asking, what is the supply chain? What is the supply chain network? Do you have to create your own suppliers for products, or are they already defined? That you would buy, say, lettuce from 4 suppliers across India, and the rates are defined, the quality is defined. So a strong supply chain is essential. And then effective brand marketing, very important. While it's always a franchisee's role to do local store marketing and say do delivery leafleting if it's a brand which does delivery. However, the building the brand and the overall kind of corporate, the PR and a lot of the other initiatives, keeping a very active social media presence, which is essential today, is really the brand's responsibility. Okay, there's a lot of action happening in smaller formats. Reasons that smaller formats, which are, people have started with large formats and created small formats. Many examples, in Indian cases, it's Sagar and Haldiram's and Bikanerwala, which started with all, and still have flagship big restaurants, but now have opened in food courts and other small locations. Amici, Italian brand out of India, Mama God. There are various examples of brands, and even McDonald's and some of the international brands have got successful smaller formats. What are the advantages? It lowers the investment. It gives you much faster returns, so the return on investment is higher. It enables brands to reach new customer segments. Okay, so when you're operating, so when I was at Nirula's, we started operating at the airport, and then we started operating at the metro. And at the metro network of Delhi Metro, we got a totally different customer profile than we would get at the. It really gives you the opportunity as a brand to access new customers. Great brand presence. It leverages, the presence of your brand and extends that to various kind of retail formats and locations. But so I think there's a lot of opportunity in doing small formats. Okay, quick couple of slides. We're one of kind of India's leading boutique consulting firms. We work across, food service primarily, but of course do some work in hotels and retails. We work with leading brands. We've done work with the Olive Group. We've done work with Tonino. We've done work with the Have More Group in Ahmedabad. We worked with some brands coming in. We can work across different segments of the industry. We bring about my 25 years of experience, and I have a panel of industry network consultants who come in and work with me on projects. So a lot of people working on different domains. Some of the areas are startup, if you're helping create a new concept, market study and entry strategy for foreign brands, franchisee strategy development. So if you're taking a franchise and you want advice. Fundraising, so we do fundraising for, right now, a couple of mandates for existing restaurant companies which want to grow and want to raise capital. We also advise PE funds on the kind of industry diligence and on acquisitions. A lot of work on operational optimization and expansion, so helping small to mid-sized brands grow, helping create systems for them, helping create processes for them, giving them strategies on how to grow. Strategic, we do a lot of work in food tech and have advised over the last 3 years various brands who have technology solutions for the hospitality industry, be it table reservations, customer loyalty, apps. So we work with a variety of brands in the food tech space. And we do some work in HR. So we do executive search at the kind of mid to senior level, training and development and kind of organizational development for companies. Okay, and we will of course end with the Q&A session. So I'm now going to start and ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves briefly and their brands. And then we're going to be discussing 3-4 topics, which will hopefully give you all interesting insights.
Hello, everybody. We own a company called Tie Hospitality, under which we have multiple businesses in the F&B space. A travel retail arm called Travel Food Services, and we have the Irish House, Global Kitchens, Blue Sea Banquets, multiple things. But of course, our flagship is Chimney, which was the mother of all businesses, which we started in 1972. And I think most of you must have heard about it. We run a couple of them in India, and we have a successful international franchise also with 2 outlets in Kuwait. We've recently launched our brand, Bombay Brasserie. In the last 2 years, we've already got 4 franchised outlets because I think it's come with a fresh take on Indian cuisine. Our forte being Indian cuisine with Chimney. And I think today's customer wanted something fresh in that space, so we have launched Bombay Brasserie. So I'm just here to share my experience to help you all get a better insight in the business with all the eminent panelists here. Thanks.
Thanks. Karan?
Hello everyone, I'm Karan Tanna. I am basically based out of Ahmedabad. I have my bistro there and I also run a central kitchen in a commissary. Kachhi King was the brand started by a couple hawkers who used to sell vada pav and dabeli, which is a street food of Gujarat, on a lari outside a college. And they grew to 150 outlets in a span of 2 years, but in a semi-organized way. I saw an opportunity, approached them, and because of my F&B and management consultancy background, tried to revamp the brand. And now we are ready for national expansion. We are already present in Nagpur with 6 outlets, Bombay with 2 outlets, and 4 more coming up. So yeah, I have been involved with F&B space a lot in multiple formats. Also revamping the already incubated brand and making it franchisable and scalable is something that I've learned over last 1 year. So I'll be happy to share my insights with you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sam Chopra. I'm the chairman and founder of an organization called CybizCorp. CybizCorp is into franchising of all kinds of products, essentially, but we specialize now in only 2 mainstreams. One is, of course, real estate. We run the world's largest real estate brokerage firm, which is a franchise in India. We've got about 7,000 offices worldwide in 98 countries. And in India, we started about 6.5 years ago. And in those 6.5 years, we've set up almost about 100 odd franchises in 30 odd cities across the country. Very successful business and very successful business model at that. When we went into franchising, my real estate was the domain expertise that I'd acquired. But over a period, I realized that my family had been into food and beverage, and they've been in food and beverage for the last 75 years, which includes Qualities, Embassy, Gaylord, and all the other famous restaurants and ice creams that you've probably eaten when you were children, or at least experienced the restaurant food. So at some point of time, we decided that we will diversify into F&B, and that's when the journey started in F&B. we started with, we said we've got great acumen in real estate because location is the key to doing business in F&B and retail. So we said we had that experience, we have the DNA of F&B, and let's get into food. We started an organization called Super Brands. Super Brands today set up a mandate saying, why Super Brands? Why not just any and every brand? Essentially, because we wanted an organization which either was into franchising or had at least numerous outlets, minimum of 25 outlets. The second was that one of them should have a revenue of, at least a restaurant should have a revenue of over $2 million. And thirdly, the business should be over 50 years old. Now, obviously, you can't get all of them in one, but even if one of these was possible, then we would call it a marquee brand, a super brand, and we'd go into it. Today, we've got 3 entities that we work with very closely. One is the Laziz Affair Group, where we work with them on their cafe, OTB, and Boombox, and various other products, which we've set up about 9 franchises for them and others. There's the Embassy Restaurant, which is now 67 years old, has been traditionally a family-run restaurant business, but we wanted to make it franchisable. So the intention is you first make them franchisable, and over a period of time, investable. We come into the brand as a master franchisee. We're not franchise consultants. We don't compete with any franchise consultants. In fact, we hire them and we utilize them to expand our business. So what Super Brands really does is identifies these brands, takes on the master franchise, and this goes back and takes the person out of the process, and we make them process-oriented rather than person-oriented. That's our second business. And the third is Cybis Brightstar. Brightstar, we recently acquired, when I say recent, about a year and a half back, the 4th largest burger chain in the world, Carl's Jr. It's a very trendy sports cafe outlook burger chain. They're also known as Hardee's in different markets. Same product, same company, same offerings. It's only called Hardee's or Carl's Jr. in different places. We brought them into India. It's a premium burger. Age group targeted between 18 to 40, serves beer, serves large burgers, and very different offerings in vegetarian as well as non-vegetarian food. Opened our first outlet in Saket. So those of you who are not from Delhi and don't know it, please visit it. It's at Select City Walk, just behind that at Saket. And we're opening the next one in Rajouri Garden at Pacific Mall, and there are many more coming up. We're looking at sub-franchising as well there. And so essentially our business is all about sub-franchising. We've got about 10 restaurants coming up and 2-3 that have already come up in the various F&B brands that we have. Thanks very much, Samir.